Hello everyone, my name is Ibrahim bin Adnan. Our unit title is Everyday Material. Our key concept is relationships, while our related concepts are form, function and interactions. Our global context is fairness and development, while our statement of inquiry is knowing the relationship between the form and function of the constituent materials helps to create useful materials for a hopeful future. Today, I am here with a very exciting video for you all. So today, we will be performing a science experiment. I'll be playing the role of a food scientist, in which I will be experimenting on how best to make a choco drink. With this experiment, I hope to give you some idea on the solubility of different materials. So, the solute I would be needing are cocoa powder and some sugar, and the solvent I would be using would be milk. The control variable is the quantity of both the solute and solvent. So, I have 100 ml of milk in the beaker, while I will be putting 1 teaspoon of sugar and cocoa powder into the milk. The independent variable is the temperature of the solvent. As you can see, I have 2 beakers in front of me. One is cold while one is hot. Now let's check their temperature. So the cold milk is nearly at 20 degrees Celsius. Now let's check the temperature of the hot milk. The temperature of the hotter milk is nearly at 50 degrees Celsius. The dependent variables are all three: the milk, sugar and cocoa powder. Now let's start the experiment by adding 1 teaspoon of sugar into the colder milk first. So now let's start mixing it. I also have a stopwatch and I will be recording the time in which it mixes. As you know, the crystals of the sugar are very heavy, so they precipitate. Look. So it seems like that the sugar has mixed, but obviously it's not completely mixed, like some parts of it is still precipitating. So it took almost 1 minute and 7 seconds for it to be mixed. Now I'll add sugar into the hot milk. Let's start the timer. So the sugar in the hot milk has dissolved completely. Let me stop the timer. So it took almost 30 seconds for it, half the time when it took in the cold milk. Now let's compare them both. So the sugar crystals in the cold milk are precipitating and they are not dissolved completely, while the crystals in the hot milk have been dissolved completely. Now let's move on to adding cocoa in them. Let's add 1 teaspoon of cocoa first into the cold milk. Let's start the timer. As you can see, the cocoa is not a heavy solvent and it is staying above, and there are still clots above it. It will take a lot of time to mix it as it is cold milk. the video in between because it was taking a very long time to mix it, but it took almost 5 minutes and 20 seconds. But still, as you can see, there are clots on the surface of it. So let's move on to mixing cocoa powder with hot milk. Like before, let's add 1 teaspoon of cocoa powder and let's start mixing it. Let's also start the timer. As you can see, the cocoa was mixed completely and it took me only 1 minute and 7 seconds. You can even see the color difference between the both. This has been mixed completely while this is not. This has clots on the surface while this has no clots. What I have analyzed from this experiment is that I think that why the sugar and cocoa powder dissolve quickly in the hotter milk and completely was that when the milk is heated, the chemical bonds which hold together the particles of the solvent weaken and they move apart, which creates a lot of space in between, and it makes it easy for the solute to dissolve in the solvent quickly and completely, comparing to the cold milk. Now let's do another experiment. Now I will be adding 2 teaspoons of cocoa powder and sugar each inside the solvent. So let's first add the salt in the colder milk. 1 and 2 and the cocoa powder. Let's start mixing it. I'm finding it a little bit hard to mix it in the cold milk. So after I had mixed the 2 teaspoons of cocoa and sugar, then I added another one and I started mixing it. It took even longer than before, but still I managed to mix it, and after that I even added a 4th one. Now this contains 5 teaspoons of cocoa and sugar, and I have been mixing it for a while now, but I can't seem to mix it anymore, so I think it has reached its maximum solubility. Now let's do the same with the hot milk. As the hot milk contains 1 teaspoon, let me add 4 more teaspoons of sugar and cocoa in it. Now the cocoa. Let's start mixing it. So I think it has mixed completely, and it was much easier to mix the cocoa and sugar inside the hot milk. So I think we can add 2 more teaspoons of each. 1. Now the cocoa. Let's start mixing it again. I have mixed the cocoa and sugar in the hotter milk completely, and now this contains 7 teaspoons of sugar and cocoa. This proves that a hotter milk has a higher saturation level than the colder milk. So I think that is it for now. I can't wait for this experiment to end because I want to drink this yummy chocolate drink. Bye.